Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to this special launch event co-hosted by ITFL Research Special Interest Group and Africa ELTA. It's always a pleasure for me to be part of an Africa ELTA event. And it's even more of an honor for me to be part of this one because it does reflect a journey that we have come through the years of the pandemic. And we are here to celebrate the hard work of our outstanding colleagues on the continent in Africa. Today's session is just a discussion with our teacher researchers who have been able to, over the years, with the support of their mentors, develop their own classroom research projects, investigate their real issues in the classroom and find solutions to their own problems. I would very briefly talk about the origins of this project, which came from a partnership between ITFL Research Special Interest Group, ITFL Global Issue Special Interest Group, and Africa ELTA at our conference in Abuja in 2019. We did organize a pre-conference event in Nigeria with the aim of supporting teachers who might be interested in doing their own research. And this came from our long-standing experience, both within the Research Special Interest Group, but also within Africa ELTA, with working with teachers in different parts of sub-Saharan Africa, most especially, but also in the north of Africa, and finding out that teachers are capable of generating their own best practices that resonate with their context. And so we wanted to find a way to support these teachers, to empower them to be able to be thought leaders and not just consumers of ideas that are often imported from contexts that are different from their context. And the best way we thought we could do this was to encourage them to start thinking about inquiry-based practice, developing inquiry-based practices through different forms of classroom research. As a result, therefore, we did organize a pre-conference event in Abuja, which focused on the theme of classroom research. And we invited our colleague, Dr. Eric Ekembe, who's been running the CAMELTA research group in Cameroon, to be our plenary speaker. Eric did talk about teacher empowerment through autonomous inquiry into global issues in their practices, but there were also different sessions, research-related sessions run by people, senior colleagues like Ishraga Bashir from Sudan, who did a session on how to do action research. And Team Hire in Nigeria ran a session on reimagining the ELT classroom through research into global issues. There was also one on doing research into gender in ELT in Benin Republic, presented by Dr. Flavien Lanmachion. We also had our own very Amira Salama, Africa ELTA president, doing a session on doing classroom research, thinking global and acting African. There was also one on collaborative practitioner research, a step-to-step guide, which I did offer. And also Africa ELTA's longtime friend, Linda Roas of the ITFL Global Issues SIG, ran a session on materials for change, simple research in low resource context to help both teachers and students. So all these sessions were all directed towards inspiring our teachers to think about doing research around the issues or the puzzles that they had in their own classrooms. Now, after that, the pre-conference event, we did send out a call for teachers who were interested in joining the Africa ELTA research group. And we received interest from 31 teachers from 12 African countries. So these 7 teachers speaking to you, unfortunately, one of them can't be here for health issues. These 7 teachers who have contributed to this publication are actually the cream of the cream from a group of 31 teachers. So you can imagine how many of them dropped out. Now, what were they expected to do? We asked them to we sent them prompts to tell us to respond to 2 specific questions. The first one was, what is or what are the major problems you face in your teaching? What is problematic about this and why? And then they also answered to the question, if you wanted to investigate this or other issues in your teaching, what would be your top 3 research questions? Now, the research questions we got were not very refined, but we just wanted teachers to start from somewhere to think about their classrooms and their issues and ask questions that would guide their investigation subsequently. So we then matched those different areas of interest or the different puzzles and questions that the teachers asked to their mentors, and mentors came from both the ITFL Research Special Interest Group and Africa ELTA, and I'll be showing you the mentors sometime in the course of today's webinar. So we then matched them together. We developed a code of conduct, a particular pattern of working together prior to matching them with their mentors. And when they had been matched to their mentors, we supported the mentoring process by offering, and these were offered specifically by ITFL Research Special Interest Group speakers. We offered them training sessions on different aspects of research, and these were spaced out to reflect the different stages at which our teacher researchers were with their developing research. So the first webinar, the first and second webinars that happened very early on into the process were delivered by Professor Richard Smith of the University of Warwick. And the first one was entitled Developing Research Questions. And this was just to help our teacher researchers to refine their initial research questions so that they can fit their research purpose. And then the second one, still offered by Professor Richard Smith, was on practical tools for exploratory research. So we wanted to embed exploration. Helping teachers not to make straight, very easy conclusions about the issues happening in their classroom, but to explore them even further to understand better the issue before they start investigating it. And then much later in the process, Dr. Sean Etherington at the University of Salford ran a webinar on introducing basic data analysis methods. So we had prepared our teachers about on ways of collecting data in classroom research. Their mentors were supporting them, but we needed a webinar to look at data analysis. And this particular webinar actually worked around some of the data that the teachers themselves were collecting from their classrooms at that stage. And then the final webinar was presented to us by Dr. Kenin Dikilatis, who was previously Research Special Interest Group coordinator, joint coordinator with Anna, who's one of our editors here and panelists. And that webinar was on interpreting findings. So having found out from your students, how do you interpret these findings so that you can make use of these findings? Now, this all sounds like it was driven by all the speakers and mentors and university people. But like I said at the beginning, all of these mentors have long-standing experience as classroom practitioners themselves, but also as classroom researchers. And they're all very fully involved in teacher education programs and teacher associations in different parts of the world. And so we adopted a mentoring process that was very reciprocal, where our mentors were learning about the classrooms of the mentees, the teachers, but also in the process, supporting the teachers to develop their own research skills and interest and the different ways, lenses through which they were looking at their practices. I want to conclude by citing this quote from one of the mentors, which I really like. And she says, "I learned a lot about the realities of teaching in African secondary schools and how resourceful and dedicated teachers are. I got a small view into a part of the world that I don't know very well. I also learned more about exploratory action research and saw more of its impact in practice. And it is now something that I would like to bring to continuous professional development work with ESOL and FL teachers in my part of the world through my chair role of a teacher development organization in the north of England." So as you can see, it was not just our mentees, these teachers who were benefiting. The mentors were also benefiting from learning about the cultural context, the classroom context in which our different teachers worked, but also seeing how creative these teachers were in developing innovative ways of approaching their students. So I would stop there, and I just wanted to, at this point, invite one of our co-editors and former past coordinator of the research, ITFL Research Special Interest Group, Dr. Ana Ines Salvi, to just share a few comments from the research perspective.
Thank you, Harry. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you. It's been a fantastic experience for me as well. From the very beginning, when Harry got in touch with this idea, I was delighted to be part of this. And I think that we are such a big group. Is the teachers here, these seven teacher researchers who have done an amazing job, plus all the mentors, plus all the people behind the two organizations, the two teaching organizations who have helped even with a minimal piece of work. For example, with budgeting for the book that we are going to print. That's the final step, but also all kinds of work, right, from the Research SIG and ELTA and Africa ELTA. So what else can I say? That I have thought of so many things and now I'm kind of speechless, but I was going to say many of the steps that Harry has already mentioned. What I would like to say is that, well, I have also been involved as a mentor, and it's been very, very interesting for me as well. And I have learned a lot. And I think that all of the mentors have volunteered when we have, like you, like all the teacher researchers, very busy schedules. And it's been a fantastic process, and despite the time limits, I think that we've all learned. Later on, we participated with all of you with editing your stories, and that has also been a learning process. And finally, we are delighted the Research SIG has facilitated not only the publication of the book online, but also they have supported us financially to print the books, and this is something that we are really, really grateful. So I think that what I would like to say is how wonderful it is to work together. So with the idea of one person and without the support of everybody else, this wouldn't have been possible. So even now we are seeing in the screen the artwork in the book, and that's also from an artist in Argentina who has donated her work for us. So there are lots of people involved in this effort, and of course today we are celebrating the teacher researchers who completed their research. And I would like to highlight the value of investigating our own questions in the classroom for teacher development purposes and for professional development. So I think I am delighted. I have also learned a lot about the African context. I am originally from Argentina, so and right now working in England, but I could relate considerably with many of the realities that you mentioned. And I want to say that I have today, and I will continue, using the book and your stories to continue inspiring other teachers. And I have worked with some of your stories today with a group of master students who are also being encouraged to do research and to investigate their own questions and to do observations as one tool to improve and to understand their own teaching practices with their students and their colleagues. So congratulations again. I will be here. If I have forgotten anything, please do ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Amira, Africa ELTA President, a quick word and then we'll hand over to the real people.
Yes, exactly. It's about them, not us. So I'm going to keep this very short to say just congratulations from Africa ELTA to all our teacher researchers. You have come a long way, and this was not easy. But thank you for your commitment and dedication to improve your pedagogical practices in your classrooms yourselves, being independent and depending on your own research to negotiate strategies with your students. I was very inspired, just like Harry and Anna and everyone who was involved by your stories and what you have done in your classrooms. Many of you involved your students in the process, and this was really empowering and inspiring. So thank you for all your efforts. We are here to celebrate you and to congratulate you on your amazing efforts. And also, I'm very glad to see a lot of members from Africa ELTA and also international members who are joining us tonight to learn from these stories and also to join us in the future for our mentoring program for the second round. So thank you all. And I will stop here because we want to hear from you. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you. Right. Can we start then by just talking to each of our teacher researchers? And I would like my first question to go to all of you. And that question has to do with just what was your research about? In a few words, please. What was your research? Just give us a taster, because the publication is available on the Africa ELTA and the ITFL Research Seek websites. It is free for you to download and read, and would encourage everyone to download the publication and read it. So just for a start, please, can you just talk to us about your research? What was your research? What were the issues or the puzzles you were dealing with? What did you do about that? And what did you find out? Can we start with Fatuma? Fatuma, can you unmute?
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
everyone.
Hello, Fatuma, we can hear you. Carry on.
Thank you so much for joining this session. I'm Fatuma Takutu, English teacher in Matam region. So I have been teaching English for 7 years now. And I would like to thank Africa ELTA and ITFL for giving me this opportunity to participate in this research, in this classroom research. So I will also thank my colleagues that helped me in interviews and those who participated in answering questions, and my students and everyone who participated in the improvement of my work. Thank you so much. And a special thanks to my editor, Amira, and my mentor, Loreto. Without her, I told her last time I would not finish this work. So I will start with the first question. What was the problem I faced? So it's always my classroom research was about large classes with low resources. So it is always challenging to teach in large classes with low resources. In our case, large classes exceed 60 students per class. So you see, it's a little bit difficult. And I will try to give you the reason why we have this number of students in these classes, because there are not enough teachers in our area. My region was one of the most remote areas and the most further regions in Senegal, I can say. And the condition of living, the climate, the weather is not that good. It's one of the hottest regions. That's why people leave. So we don't have enough rooms. We don't have enough teachers. That's why sometimes students that were supposed to be in 3 classes are gathered in 1 class. Okay, some other problem with large classes is a problem to manage the students. Students are very noisy most of the time, and it's very difficult to interact with them. And it's also difficult to meet the learners' needs. Some of students feel intimidated to speak in front of the large number of classmates, and others find it difficult to follow the instruction and are unable to keep with the lesson. So a teacher should maybe find some strategies or some solution in order to cope with this problem. The second question was, what did you do about it?
Yeah, you've got just 1 more minute to answer all the questions. So yeah.
Okay, so after analyzing, after interviewing my colleagues and listening to my students, I decided to conduct some, how can I say, some solution in order to find some solution in order to, how can I say, to eradicate or to solve this problem. And what many teachers proposed for solution with large classes with low resources, they say that we have to use our environment, for example, do outdoor classes sometimes and use our environment as a material. Because if students are in the classroom, the interaction sometimes is not that good. It's not that difficult. Some students are, for example, at the end of the class, they have problem to listen to the teacher and to keep with hearing the instruction and keep with the lesson. That's why they proposed me to do some outdoor classes that I myself tried after. I also tried using some technology, which was proposed by some of my teachers, some of my colleagues, because sometimes we can have some problem with textbooks. We don't have enough textbooks, or if we have them, the students have to share them. That's why I ask my students, for example, to use their phone to download a text. Before I do it, I ask them to download the text, and once they come back, it's difficult to work. It's more easy to work with, because they can use the text without internet. Because many of them have phones, but not all. Those who don't have maybe phones, I can photocopy some textbook and give them. But if we don't have that possibility, they can just share materials. Okay, I think that was what I have.
Great. Okay, so we would move to the next speaker, please.
Thank you.
I know how excited you are and how grateful you are to your supervisors, to your mentors. There would be time to thank your mentors. Just answer the question in 3 minutes. Okay. Can we invite our next speaker? Would be on my screen, Ernest Diaz from Côte d'Ivoire. And Fatuma said she's from Senegal. Of course, that's obvious. Ernest, over to you.
Hello, everybody. I thank you for coming to this event. It is a real pleasure and a privilege for me to take part in this research. And I'm really grateful to the Africa research leaders. My name is Ernest Diaz from Côte d'Ivoire. I have been teaching English for 27 years now. It means 20 years after, before Fatumata. So my research was about the new approach which was introduced in our country. This new approach is the CBI, or the competency-based lesson teaching. And I noticed the problem with myself in my classrooms. And what was the problem? As an experienced teacher, I could not complete my lessons with this new approach. And I was late with the progression, and I noticed that my learners were no more motivated in the lesson. So there was a question, what was wrong with my teaching? But in the staff room, I could also hear some colleagues complaining about the same situation. So it was a real concern for all of us, including me, myself. We therefore decided to take an action. And this action was a kind of a teamwork, a kind of collaboration work that we conducted. It was conducted in 3 steps. The first step was coming to my class and see me in a real teaching practice with the new approach. We know that there were different steps, the learning contest, the reading, and so on and so forth. So the team of observers came to my class and they observed the lesson. They also recorded the lesson. And after that, there was a viewing session. The viewing session was organized by all the community of practice of English teachers of the school. So everybody were invited to take part in this viewing session. And during the session, the viewing session, there were feedback, and I myself saw my mistakes in the recording. So after a discussion on the main point, the team came back for a second time to see me in my classroom, to see if I have improved after the feedback. And then, after discussion, I noticed that the mistakes was not the approach, but my misunderstanding of the approach. As an expert now, after correcting my teaching practice, I could go to other classes and follow the other teachers. So this is how we conducted this project.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ernest. You can mute yourself now. There's a lot of sound coming from behind. Next up is Aita from Cameroon.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Like you said, I'm Aita from Cameroon, and like every other one on this research project, I had a problem. My topic in this research and in this publication is engaging students in speaking activities in a low resource context. What triggered this? That's about the puzzle. I was triggered into this research topic by the frustrations I registered with teaching students over the years and not having them speak the language fluently as expected. I'm talking about EFL, teaching English to learners as a foreign language. And curiously, these are learners who have gone through different teachers for about 7 years in the secondary and the high school. And at the end of it, they could still not express themselves fluently in English. Then I knew there was a problem. But where is the problem coming from? And it was even more intriguing that as a school subject, they will write and pass in English, but they will not be able to speak English. It was just a puzzle. So with this, and convinced also that my methods, I put convinced in inverted commas, open and close now, convinced that my methods were good, I ran into the conclusion that my learners were not interested in English, like many of us over here do. And that's how you get into class, you do what you have to do. Those who are interested, they go along with you. You try to catch up on those who show a little interest, but it never really works for everybody. As a reflective practitioner, I became interested in the ITFL research project as a means to find solutions to my problems. And I got some really startling revelations that humbled me to accepting that I was part of the problem. I had one, but I had to accept that. What was the first thing I found out? That my assumptions were wrong. I ran into the assumptions that my learners were not interested in English. That was wrong. I also ran into the assumption that, on the contrary, running into this assumption led me into making unilateral decisions. The lessons were conceived from the teacher's perspective and dispensed following the teacher's method. And so when we started this research project, I found out that through interviews, observation, comments by colleagues, interviews, and answering of questionnaires, I found out that my learners were indeed interested in English. They loved it. They wanted to speak it. And my learners wanted it done differently. I had my method. They had their reflections on how they think it should be done. And so in the course of this research, there was a lot of learning and sharing. There was a lot of negotiation. And I worked with my learners, as you will read the interesting slots from the article. And a lot of tools were modified. We negotiated a lot of things. I had more respect for my learners. I didn't take them for granted anymore. And I realized that it also projected a very positive image of myself as their teacher. I used to think I was liked, but after this project, they loved me. Or rather, let me say they loved the method. So they became an integral part of the conception and the dispensation of my lessons. And that's why I think it will make a really good read to go through this article and see the steps. We can't just say everything here, but going through it will definitely make you want to replicate this process. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you very much, Aita. You heard from her. Maybe you want to start with Aita's article. She's done a good job of advertising that one. May we now turn to Musa.
Hi, everyone. Is my microphone good?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Harry. And I'm Musa Ngom from Senegal. So my topic was, my issue, was about the fact of using other languages in an English class. And when I went to Abuja, Nigeria, I had this kind of issue, but I didn't know how to solve it. And when I knew that ITFL and Africa was organizing a research project, I immediately was interested by, and I joined the group. So what I did after was with my mentor to firstly find some I can say some elements that are going to help me to see and to understand also the problem I was facing. And I can say that it was not a personal issue, but it was a general issue here in Senegal. There are some Senegalese teachers who are following. They know what I'm saying, because in our pedagogical meetings, sometimes we have this kind of debate. Is it good to use local languages or French in our English classes or not? And this was an opportunity for me to bring my contribution to that debate. And what I did was to go and find some teachers with a questionnaire. Some questions they respond, and also did some interviews with students from junior schools and high schools. And after that, and analyzing all the things, we, me and my mentor, decided now to make the report. And what I find out was that using other languages in an English class can be good, or it can be good, it can be bad, but all depends on when we're using that, and in the path, I can say, of using these languages. And I have found also that the students themselves, the majority of themselves, they appreciate the fact of using these languages in order to help them understand easily and fastly also what they are learning at school. And also some of our colleagues also, I can say the majority of our colleagues are using presently other languages when they are doing English classes. So I can say that this opportunity I had from Nigeria, thanks to ITFL and Africa Alta, was a unique occasion for me to bring this kind of participation. And for now, I can say that it is a very good thing for me, and also for my other colleagues who are in the same school and I. So thank you, Hari, and this was about the three first questions.
Thank you very much. Annette from Nigeria. Annette, can you unmute, please? Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay.
But we can't see you. Is that because you've got technical issues? Carry on anyway. Just get on, don't worry about your video. Annette, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you.
Yes, carry on. Talk to us about your research, please.
Okay. My name is Annette Obayagmo. I'm a teacher in Girls Grammar School, Nigeria. My research is all about lack of attention in English language class by senior secondary school students. And what actually made me to embark on this research was the fact that I teach students in groups. I give them assignments, I give classwork, I give homework to them, but I realized to no avail that they don't, pay attention still. Some don't even do their assignments even at home. Therefore, what I did in order to help my class, my students, is I decided to start by exploring the reasons behind their lack of focus in class, also at home. So I had to find out from them ways in which I could adapt my teaching to their needs and their interests in order to get them to focus and engage in my English class. So I designed a questionnaire, and this questionnaire, I encourage my students to actually respond to it anonymously. This is to help me to get honest questions from them. Honest responses from them and suggestions without them having any fear or having in mind that I was going to rebuke them at the end of the day. Then I also explained to them that through the questionnaire, I would be able to seek to help my teaching and also to help them to have better knowledge of the English language. So this actually made them to, to feel responsible for what is going on in the class. Therefore, the questionnaire that I designed consists of two parts, the closed-ended and the open-ended parts. And in the closed-ended, the students' responses, was based on the 5-point scale, ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. While the open-ended, the students had to respond to the part of English they find difficult. Looking at the vocabulary, the grammar, the spoken English, the comprehension, and also continuous writing. And at the end, I was able to, produce 200 questionnaires, which I distributed to these students on the basis of first come and first serve. Then at the end, I was able to retrieve 197 questionnaires. So what I actually find out at the end of the day was actually alarming to me, because I find out at the end of the day that my students need to, their mind needs to be prepared for every class. I also find out that these students have preference for some of the topics in English and not all of the topics, because there are still some of the topics that they have dislike for. Then I discovered also that some students need one-on-one interaction with their students, especially the weak ones. And there are some of them that actually, they feel intimidated by some of the presence of the brilliant ones in class. Then lastly, I also discover in the course of this research that the illustrations and examples that were in the recommended text I was using was not sufficient to actually get the attention of these students. So I had to, respond to all of these research that I find out. So at the end of everything, I had to learn from them that they need to engage in learning, and that their suggestions to how to make learning interesting, this suggestion have to come from them, and I need to engage them whenever I am teaching. I also learned that as a teacher, I need to get the mind of my students prepared. I need to give them examples, illustrations that they are familiar with. I have to bring in more and more illustrations and examples. I need to actually have one-on-one, interaction with them, to the extent of, I am, requesting some of my So the research itself, how the research has actually helped my my classroom practice is that now as a teacher at the end of the day. Okay.
Annette, we will come to that in a moment. We just wanted to have an idea of what you found out and what you did and what you found out in relation to the puzzle that led you to your investigation. So you very, very nicely now led us into the next question, which is about how that research informed your practice. And we would really need to be very brief here, please. 1 minute, and I would have to stop you in 1 minute. So let's start with Ernest, please.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question, please, you said.
How has your research informed your current practice?
Well, like I said, my research really made me conscious of my teaching practice. And from this research, I have discovered that when we are using new approaches, or we are using new methods in the classroom, it is important for teachers not only to take part in workshops, but also to collaborate, because the solution that we found was a local one, collaborating and sharing our concerns and trying to find a solution. It will really help me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, maybe we go to Annette now. Annette, yeah, what have you learned from this research and how has it influenced the way you teach here?
Okay, now I teach with the mind of engaging my learners by making them more, to have more interest in what I am teaching. Then now I'm more sensitive to their feelings as students. I use more examples now. I use more illustrations. I even have one-on-one interaction with the slow learners now too.
Oh, great. Great, thank you. And Musa?
Yeah, okay. As far as I'm concerned, I was doubting before this research project, I was doubting in my classes because I didn't know when to use local languages and when not to use them. But after this, I now know that I can use them comfortably in my classes and be clear with my students. And at the end, they will understand my lessons and my explanations and so on. So I can say that the research I conducted has changed my way of intervening in my classes.
Right, okay, thank you. Fatuma?
Thank you, Ari. So it's changing my way of teaching, since I have always thought that teaching is supposed to be done in the classroom. But after listening to my colleagues that were saying that we have to use what we have in order to teach what we want. So I find out that teaching can be done anywhere. So I dare do some outdoor classes, and it was very exciting. I can give the example of the restaurant. I mentioned it in my research, classroom research. Students were very happy and excited. Even those who were not used to talk in class were shy. They were really interactive and participated a lot. I also try the use of technology. For example, one day, I can give an anecdote. One day, I have done a text about marriage. The text is an interview. So I ask my student to check the text online. After checking it, they do beyond my expectation, because one student brings the video, the audio of the text. And the next class, I put the audio and we could hear the different voices because the interview was different people from coming from different countries. And it was a really exciting experience. Thank you.
I'm a fan of outdoor classes. It's my own very early experiences. Can I hand over
That's amazing.
Yeah. Can I hand over to Aita?
Thank you. I am more alert in my problem identification and problem solving methods. I focus more on my learners, and I am slow to run into assumptions without backing. I diversify activities with my learners in class to meet their different learning methods. I take them more to their workshops and to areas of interest to them. I seek their opinions before taking certain decisions that affect their learning process. when I have to make a surprise package, I take into consideration their areas of interest, and I try to avoid those previous long lessons which they considered boring. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a very a quick question in the Q&A here. Someone's asking, someone called Anonymous Attendee is asking, how can you evaluate your research in terms of the results in your class? This question is to any one or two of you. So who wants to take the floor? How can you evaluate your research in terms of the results in the class? 30 seconds.
I think for me, Annette, I, especially this term, the research has actually helped my classroom participation. That is, my students, they participate more now, even in their results. For the first time since I've been teaching, I have 2 classes that didn't have any students that failed English. They scored above 50 to 89% in this last exam. So it's a thing that I was so proud of that the research has done for me.
I will take from there to say that without claiming perfection, this research has yielded a lot of positive effects in my class, already to the upwards of 80, 90, because my learners are now more participatory, especially those who before not open their mouths to say anything in class. They don't only speak, but they look out for
Can you
you.
mute, please? Can you mute yourself?
Sorry.
Fatu. Yeah, okay. Aita, carry on.
They will not only speak in class, but they will look out for you out of class, and they will make exchanges with their learners. I think this is where my satisfaction, and that they can make suggestions that I build on, and it makes the class so participatory and explosive. I think they're happy, I am happy. And it makes the teaching learning process fun, relaxed, and the stress is gone.
Good. Right. Thank you very much. I know we can get on. Musa, your lips were open, so I would let you speak.
That's it. I wanted just to say that for me, I can say that the result was the fact of my students are very exciting in terms of participation in the classroom. And now, because some teachers, they feel that when they use other languages, their students are going to not to be interested by English itself. But using these techniques, and I see that they are interested in the language, but also they understand well and fast what I'm saying.
Thank you. Now, this is all very interesting, and that was an important question. One thing I just want to add is that language learning is not just about performances in the classroom, because sometimes students can pass in a test, but they cannot communicate in the language outside the classroom. So we can't just measure success in projects like this based on the scores that students obtain in a classroom test. We need to look at the wider picture of why we are teaching our students English. It's not just to pass English tests, it's actually so they can use language. And we are building a kind of a motivation for them to continue to learn on their own in the future, because to be honest, they are going to learn a lot more English in the future outside the classroom that they would probably learn in the classroom, even with the best teachers. So whatever research project, and I think all these research projects discussed here have an element of listening to the students, taking their voices into account, developing pedagogic practices that are consistent with students' own interests, but also with the requirements that the teachers have to fulfill. And that in itself is empowering, not just for the teachers, but more especially for the students. My next point I wanted to raise is a question about your understanding of research before you joined the project, and what your understanding of classroom research is now. But before I do that, I just wanted to remind our audience that 2 of our teacher researchers are not here. Ruth from Nigeria is very ill, so she could not join us. Rita Bile from South Africa had an urgent family issue and had to leave, but she was kind enough to send us some videos of her her reflections. So we would spare you the video, the summary of her research. Her research was on investigating student teachers' understanding of academic writing. She works for the University of Rhodes herself. She is a supervisor, she's an academic, but this was the first time she was actually doing classroom research outside the academic research she's used to doing and supervising. And so her process was basically finding out her colleagues' understandings of what academic writing is and matching those understandings with her own students who are student teachers, what their understanding of academic writing is and what the requirements of academic writing should be. And then she worked on this too and identified areas where teachers' perspectives and students' perspectives were similar, but also there were areas where there were very different perspectives. And on the basis of that, she developed with her students a number of procedures to help them develop academic writing based on an agreed conceptualization of what academic writing consists of. So our next question, and we would like to start with a video from Retabile herself, Rejoice from South Africa, is what was your understanding of classroom research before you joined the research project, and what has changed since then?
Understanding of classroom research was limited before I joined this research group. To start with, it had not occurred to me that one could authentically research one's classroom practice. That was a far-fetched idea for me. When I Happy Africa Week, my understanding of classroom research was limited before I joined this research group. To start with, it had not occurred to me that one could authentically research one's classroom practice. That was a far-fetched idea for me. When I eventually joined and got into researching my own practice, I went into it with conclusions, with outcomes already in my mind. And I was shocked that things did not turn out the way I had assumed they had. So there's very little that we know when we do not research our own practice. I now have a totally different perspective.
Thank you, Rutabile. Can we ask Annette, are you still with us? So what did you think about classroom research before you joined the research group, and what has changed in your understanding? Annette, it's your turn.
Okay. Before, I used to think that research was made for, institutions like the universities, made for the lecturers alone, it's peculiar to the lecturers. But now, I've been able to see that research is not just for the lecturers in the academic field, but also classroom teachers in secondary school, even primary school, can actually embark on research. I also used to think before that collection of data, getting materials to work with when it comes to research was a very tedious, something that would take everlasting. But I thank you, my mentor, Dr. Ari. I now see that it's easy as a secondary school teacher to actually get this data and to, get the research done. And thank God, this research has actually made me to see that anything is possible, so long as you have the right mentor and your mind is in what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Musa, it's your turn now.
Yeah, for me, at the very beginning, I thought that making research, classroom research was reserved especially for scholars, the guys from universities, as Ernest says, and but when I joined the group, I discovered that this is part of my how can I say, my teaching, because every teacher in his class is facing some issues, and every teacher should be I can say should have the techniques or the methods to overcome all these issues. And I discovered this when I joined the group, and now I'm sure that every issue I can have in my class, I can face them and try to find solution, doing the same thing that I did with this project.
Thank you. Fatuma, can you hear us? Okay, can we move on to Aita now and then Ernest?
Thank you, Harry. Before, I thought, like the others have said, research was reserved for some academic brains who want to make further input into theory or develop theories. But after this research, I kind of even realized that we've done part of the classroom research in many of our reflective thinkings without even being conscious of it. So what this process showed to me is that classroom research is not only problem result oriented, but it is also enjoyable. You solve your problems in a process where you collaborate with your learners and you make the work easy for everybody. It simply gives you more room to reflect over your methods, your material, and the results you get at the end of it very satisfactory. So I think it is a thing that every teacher should take interest in doing, should enjoy doing it, should encourage others doing it, because we've done a lot of it without documenting our resources or our results to be replicated by others. Now we know better. We enjoy doing it, we document, and then we present it so others can replicate.
Thank you, Aita. Someone said that if we had to collect all the words that teachers share in the staff room about their practices, all the things that they've written down and put them in a book, we would have all the best theories in the world. Ernest.
Well, like all the others said, my understanding of the research at the beginning was something academic with a thesis, memoir. But now I have discovered that we can conduct research and investigation about all small points concerning our classroom practice. And from today on, I think that I have collected some other points on which I will conduct investigation and research. Because I think that researching our classroom practice can improve our teaching and can also help other teachers improve their teaching. Thank you very much.
Great. Fatuma, are you there? Can you hear us now? Do you want to share any thoughts? Yeah.
I'm here. Sorry. Okay. Before, I did not have any idea of classroom research, but after, I find it very exciting. I met some obstacles. I was even about to give up, but with the help of my mentor, I finally made it. I now know the different steps and the procedures we have to do in order to make a perfect classroom research.
Great. Okay. Now before we go to the next question, and we've got some questions in the Q&A, which we'll be responding to. This is your time to talk about your experience of working with your mentors. I just wanted to share this slide, which has photos of all the mentors, and to thank these mentors, these wonderful people, immensely for the support. But more importantly for me, just listening to them talk about in our mentors group, talk about the experience and what they learned working with their different mentees was really enriching, even for me. So please, wherever you are, maybe share for these people who worked with our colleagues in Africa to support them in their journey towards becoming researchers in their classroom. So my question now is just for each of you to share with us your experience of working with your mentor. What was the experience? And please tell us who your mentor was now. Let's start with Musa.
Okay, thank you, Harry. And I can say that I was very lucky during this this job, because I had the chance to work with two of you. I started my research with Dr. Shan Etherington, collecting the data and analyzing them, and even when I started reporting also, I was with him, but with her, sorry. But I finished my reporting with you, Dr. Hari, and it was a very great opportunity for me to learn from Dr. Shan and Dr. Hari, because Dr. Shan, you know, it was a kind of, it was a very kind of, it was, something is wrong. It was, something is wrong.
Just carry on, carry on.
Okay, so I said that it was a great opportunity for me to learn many things, many details, and from the beginning to the end of the work, I was learning, and I was really happy to work with you, Dr. Hari, and also Dr. Shan. And I can say thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
Maybe I should just mention that each of our colleagues here had only one mentor, and Anna, Amira, and myself edited the final publication. So the idea was to give all of these teachers a second opportunity to work with someone different from their mentor. They had spent a year or so with their mentors working, and they had already developed a relationship with their mentors, but we thought that they are beginning to write about their practices. Maybe it's an opportunity for them to engage with a different person to see that the editorial process, the publishing process is not that straightforward. So whatever I did, it was my job as an editor, not as a mentor. Of course, there was a bit of mentoring there involved, but we were actually, the work was your own product itself.
Thank you.
Annette?
Okay, my mentor is, I won't use the word was, Dr. Arikucha, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud to be your student. I'll see myself as a student under you. I'll say my experience with you has been a very good one, although not too smooth. We had our ups and downs. There are days, you know, I'll be slow to whatever activity you want me to do at a particular point. But I really love your tenacity, the way you brought me out of my, you know, shell. Because if someone had told me I would have been able to do, you know, be part of the people that ended this result and research.
We have lost Annette for a second there.
So I want the time you gave, the knowledge you added, and I thank you for in the course of this research. So Dr. Ari, again, thank you. And I'm also thanking African Elder for the platform given.
Thank you, Annette. It was a wonderful pleasure to learn from your experience, to have a real insight into a Nigerian classroom which you offered. Ernest. Unmute, please.
Yeah, okay. I'm very happy to see the picture of Loreto again, because that's a long time. She is a really kind. I even remember that one night I was really tired and I saw a message asking me, Ernest, have you finished your research question? I said yes, but in fact, I was not ready. So early in the morning, I started the work and I completed the work to send it to her. She's very kind. She knows the words to encourage people, and she's a good mentor. And today I have discovered that she's also a good mother, because I heard she has a baby. I wish her and her baby all the best. Thanks again, Loreto.
Thank you. Fatima. Okay, Aisha, we'll come to you, and then we can come back to Fatima.
Indeed, Harry, it was a solid team of excellent mentors. And I had the privilege to have as mentor Amira Salaman. I think I must confess here that if not of my mentor's simplicity in handling very difficult things, I would have given up like others. Amira pulled out the best in me and made me to do the things I didn't even believe I could do. And her method was subtle. She made you do great tasks without even realizing you've done them. And she had a way of just cajoling and pulling you through it, but tasking you mentally. I had a challenge working with Amira, and I think it goes for you, Harry, it goes for Anna, that came in and iced that work. At one moment I said, how did these tough ones all come to me? Now I know you are doing it for everybody, but I am so glad and delighted now, because you put a beautiful icing on the cake we produced. And I am really, really grateful for your collaboration, but I share this. I was working on motivation. Little did Amira know that the things she did with me were models on the things I wanted to do with my learners. She motivated me in her manners, and it was an indirect lesson I was learning and applying. So I am really, really grateful to the entire team and to my Amira. You were just wonderful. Remain blessed.
Great. Fatima?
Okay, I share the same mentor with Ernest, and I can just say that what he just told about that wonderful woman is really true. She was just great. I learned a lot from her, and as Anita said, she put out the best in me, and she made me do what I have never expected to do. It was sometimes difficult because I was often busy with classes and making papers, but when they need me for classroom researches. But my mentor was like every time motivating me, Fatu, you can do it. I'm sure you will make it. And every time I was like trying to give my best. Yeah. She was giving me tasks and on deadlines that I never respect. But she keeps on being patient and motivating me until I finish the task. And so many thanks for her. I just learned that she's got a new baby born. I wish her congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know that Loreto is somewhere in the audience here and is listening. Yes, please take our love to baby Marcus.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that Ruth from Nigeria was mentored by Dr. Okon Effion. And I also, in addition to mentoring Annette, I also mentored Richabile from South Africa. What we have learned, and this is part of the conversation we have had with all the mentors in our mentors group, where we shared experiences from time to time, was that a lot of us can be drawn into working as academics, and in our own supervision of students who come to our programs maybe with a lot of teaching experience, we might be reconceptualizing supervision as mentoring itself, because seeing supervision as mentoring puts us in a position to value the experience and the knowledge that these teachers who come back to do a program, be it an honors program as in South Africa, or a postgraduate certificate program, or a master's degree, these people come with huge experience in the classroom, and we can learn from those experiences as we learn from these teachers. The question I wanted to ask you, and this is the final question before we take a few from the Q&A, is how has this experience informed the way you support your younger colleagues now, or your other colleagues who might need your help? Let's start with you, Ernest. Of course, I know that some of you are already teacher trainers, so that would be something you want to talk about.
Exactly. I have been, let's say, mentoring teachers from the teachers training school for many years now. And what I learned from my mentor, Loreto, and also from this project really made me improve my work, my relationship with the other younger teachers. In fact, sometimes I'm rude with them, and sometimes I don't get myself in the shoes. Sometimes I want them to go quickly in the work, but now I discovered that it is not easy for younger teachers to understand some aspect of the teaching. So it is better to go slowly and work together with them and understand them in order to come to a good result.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's next? Annette?
Okay, now,
Annette, maybe if you stop, Annette, please.
I am more patient now.
Okay, I was going to say maybe if you stop your video, then you would have better connection.
Okay, I should stop the video.
You can, yeah, carry on now. Yeah.
Okay, I said now I don't easily give up on anyone anymore. If Harry didn't give up on me, I am more patient now with my students and even younger colleagues. Unlike before, when I see my younger colleagues as people that are lazy, I've realized that even from a lazy person, if there's someone to mentor such a person, to put that person on his or her toes, the person will actually be good, because that was actually what Harry did with me. So now, also, I bring my students and my younger colleagues closer. I bring them closer, I help them with whatever assignments they have and whatever they feel, that seems impossible to them. I made them to see that there is actually nothing that is impossible, because that is what my mentor Ari has actually taught me, that anything is possible so long as you have the platform and you yourself, you are in it. Then I also want to say that now the mentoring experience has helped me to be simple. I see things very, very easy now. I don't see things as being complicating. Thank you.
Thank you. Aita?
Yes, Harry, this, I would say freely I received, freely I gave. And as a newly appointed pedagogic inspector, this is not limited just to the younger colleagues, the older ones need it too. And what I do is to tickle my colleagues, young, old, to address the problems they face in class, not to wait for magic solutions somewhere that might come and throw them even off the problem and cause more problems. So listening to teachers in the field, talking with my colleagues, because even though in the field I still teach, it's a passion for me. And we reflect over the problems, especially during our break in the staff room. And I listen more to younger colleagues because they come with so many problems, thinking there is a magic solution somewhere. And belonging to this Camelta research group and working with young colleagues straight from the teacher education field, school, I think this course was very timely. It was a square peg in a square hole, and it changed my relationship with colleagues, older, younger, and those that I am supervising in the field. I am so grateful to the research project and to everyone.
Thank you. Can we hear from Musa?
Yeah, I shared my experience as a mentee because everything I learned from this research project, I try to share it with my colleagues, the younger and the elder ones. And I can say that sometimes the teachers, they think that the issue they have in their classes, they should find the solutions in books or waiting for another one. And I tell them that this is not the true information. You have to do yourself a work in order to overcome your issues, your problems in your class. And I explain them, I give them my experience. And even using languages, other languages in English class. The last day, I have a colleague, Mr. Cham, I'm not sure if he's here or not, but he told me, as I have a CSM class, the first form classes. So the students who are in their first year of learning English, why not putting the instructions of the test in French and put the question in English? I say, okay, it's a possibility, but for me, what I'm doing is this. I do all in English, and once in the class, I explain them the instructions in French, and so they do the test. And this is a kind of debate or kind of exchange between colleagues that I can say, if I can do that today, that it is thanks to the project.
Thank you. Fatimata.
Okay, sorry. So this mentoring program experience informed the way I support, the way I'm doing right now my teachings, because for my case, for my topic, teaching in large classes with low resources, I always thought that it was something which is difficult and which is not would be very fine to find solution to solve this problem. But after conducting this research, I find out that this problem could be found in a difficult way. Teaching in large classes with low resources can be challenging, but also rewarding, in the sense that the students can be more interactive. They can be learn more when they are, for example, experiencing outdoor classes. There are some of them who start speaking and they did not do it in class so often. So it was a really amazing experience, and I, how can I say, advise all my colleagues to try to participate in this classroom research.
Thank you. We have a few questions on the Q&A, and I'll try and just get through them as quickly as possible. Johnson Abibi says, what level of education, primary, secondary, or tertiary? Most of our colleagues here work at secondary level, so their research was mainly with different levels of secondary school students. One of them, Rita Bile, who works at the university, at Rhodes University in South Africa, did her research with student teachers who are training in the university to become teachers in the future. And you also asked, are the learners' backgrounds the same in terms of language, socioeconomic, especially those in large classes? I don't know if Fatuma would want to answer. However, the research into large classes in sub-Saharan Africa shows that these are mainly in state schools, and state schools are often the least resourced schools because they are almost free. Most of the children who go to these schools come from low socioeconomic backgrounds. So yes, they would generally be from low socioeconomic backgrounds, or there would be a mix of different socioeconomic backgrounds. And what really matters in classroom research is how teachers continue to interrogate and investigate their practice to find ways of bridging the gap between the rich and the not too rich children in their classrooms. Academics might go into those different variables in different ways for all sorts of reasons, but for the practicing teacher who has no say in who comes to their classroom, what we wanted them to do was to find their own informed solutions to what they were doing in the classrooms. Nayan says, how do you sustain the classroom experience outside the classroom? I think this is a question for Fatuma.
Okay. Okay, yeah. How I experienced outdoor classes, it was really, really exciting, and students learn a lot. They are more like interactive than in the classroom. For example, in outdoor classes, they have more space, and for that, some of them are like free to do some activities. For example, I can do around some round in order to see each group, because it's more easier in this case to work in groups, because in the classroom we don't have enough space, and sometimes there are some students that are at the end of the class, and they cannot sometimes hear the teacher, follow the instruction, etc. So it was really, really exciting. I gave the example of the restaurant, which was very exciting, and students like learn from their environment. They even don't focus on your class. Sometimes there are some very distracted students that are like taking care of all the things that are in the environment. So the teacher should be very like careful when doing outdoor classes in order to make students focus. But most of the time they are really interactive and they all participate.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've answered all the questions that are here. Yeah, and Musa did type answers to some of the questions. So we have come to the end. We have come to the end of our webinar. We hope that these teachers' narratives have inspired you to think about researching your own classroom, or to think about mentoring teachers in the future. Africa ELTA has its mission to continue to empower African teachers to develop as informed practitioners and not just consumers of pedagogies that are generated in spaces that are not similar to their own working conditions. So we think that this can be achieved through projects like teacher research mentoring. We are also running the female leadership mentoring project, and we're also thinking of other projects that we would develop in the future to continue to support our teachers. We will be announcing the next round of the Africa ELTA research classroom research project in the days ahead. This will be announced in the Africa ELTA WhatsApp group and the Telegram group. and to our members via email. For those who are subscribed only to email, we'll be announcing this, and we'll be hoping that many of you would feel inspired to apply, to join the group, and that if you join, you would be committed, because it is important that all these mentors who are giving up their free time to support teachers feel that their work is being valued. So we don't want to have a situation where we've got 30 plus interested people at the beginning, and then we end up with a very few teachers, having wasted some of the time that mentors would have used elsewhere. So thank you all. Thank you, Ernest, Musa, Fatuma, Annette, Aita, and thanks to all our mentors, and thanks also to the research, ITFL Research Special Interest Group that funded the production of this document, which we now proudly share online. The teacher researchers will be receiving, as Anna said, will be receiving copies of their own book. But for the rest of you, you can access this online, and please read them. You can ask questions about that, about any of the projects, the research projects. Please continue to stay in touch. And if you are not yet a member of Africa ELTA, please go to the Africa ELTA website, africaelta.org, and you'll find information on how to become a member. Membership of Africa ELTA is free. So thank you very much. Thank you to the wonderful team of editors. Anna, thank you for all the energy in coordinating the work we did to edit this final piece and coordinating the production process so neatly. Thank you, and goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, and thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye, Anna.
Goodbye,
Dear colleagues. And
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
It was a real pleasure.